people the true understanding of this book, the Bible. We out here to let our people know what's up, brother. We out here to let our people know that this ain't no white man book. This ain't no Arab book. This is your book. The blacks, Hispanics, and Native American Indians. This Bible is for you, by you, written by you. How you doing, brother? How you doing? Good. You know, do you know this Bible just for you, brother? Not for anybody else? How you know that? Your mama taught you? So you know your nationality? What's that? African? No, we not Africans. We not Africans. Because did you know Africans don't claim you? Africans don't claim us. Africans tell us we not their people. They call us a kata. A kata means cotton pickers. Did you know Africans don't deal with us?
No, that's because they say we better than them. They say we think some, but it's just because these white people over here, man. That's what that is. And we be trying to tell them. We be like, shoot, these white people ain't no joke over here.
That is true. But did you know that? Because they tell us that Africans sold Africans into slavery, right? Have you heard that before?
They was the taskmasters.
They was the taskmasters. But you know, Africans is not stupid enough to sell their own people into slavery. What they did know is they sold a different type of people. Watch this. Let me show you. Let me see. Get ham. I'm going to show you something that everybody else know but us. Because what's your father? What's the nationality of your father? Is he African American, so-called African American? So that'll make you an African American. So, you know, we not African Americans because Africa do not claim us. If you ask a real African what they are, they not gonna say an African. You know what they gonna say? They gonna say a Nigerian. They gonna say a Kenyan. They gonna say I'm from Ghana. There's over 50 different countries in Africa. Then nobody in Africa call themselves an African. So, because if I ask you what part of African, where you from, what would you say? Watch this. Watch what the Bible scholars know that we don't know. Watch this. Get Ham.
Ham, the youngest son of Noah, born probably about 96 years before the flood.
So Ham was the youngest son of Noah. You remember Noah is the one that built the ark in the Bible in the flood when God flooded the world. So he had 3 sons. Ham was his youngest son.
And one of the 8 persons to live through the flood. He became the progenitor.
Progenitor means the father. So Ham became the forefather of who?
Of the dark races.
So Ham is the forefather. All right, I got you, bro. So Ham became the forefather of the dark races. Go ahead.
But not the Negroes.
So he said Ham is the father of the dark races, but not the Negroes. Who do they call Negroes? Negroes, who they call the people that came over here and were sold. Negroes are the people that were sold as slaves in this country. So he said Ham is the forefather of the dark races, but not the Negroes. Let's see who.
But the Egyptians?
But Ham is the forefather of the Egyptians. Egyptians are Africans. Egyptians are Africans. So Ham is the father of the Egyptians.
Ethiopians?
The Ethiopians are more Africans. Ethiopians are more Africans. Go ahead.
Libyans?
The Libyans.
And Canaanites.
And Canaanites. So Ham is the forefather of the Africans, but not the Negroes. Not the Negroes. So if we are not African, who are we? Give me Isaiah 1 and 3. That's the question that you got to ask yourself. If we are not Africans, who are we? Because Africans don't claim us. We already know Africans don't claim us. We walk up and down all day trying to claim Africa, but Africa don't claim us because they know something you don't know. They know something that you don't know. And let's see what that is.
Isaiah 1 verse 3. The ox knoweth his owner, and the ass his master's crib. But Israel does not know.
So the chosen people of God, they don't know who they are. The chosen people of God, the Bible just said, the chosen people of God do not know who they are. Go ahead.
My people does not consider.
God said his people don't even consider who they are. He said, my people don't know who they are, and my people don't consider who they are. All we do, we walk up and down these streets all day playing, not knowing who we are, not knowing where we come from. And the answer was in this book the whole time. So there was a curse that came upon his people. Read that again.
Isaiah 1 verse 3. The ox knoweth his owner, and the ass his master's crib. But Israel does not know.
So the Bible said Israel do not know. God said his people don't know who they are. And what else?
My people does not consider.
He said my people don't even consider who they are. We don't know who we are, and we don't consider who we are. We just call ourselves African. But if you ask a real African who they are, they not going to say African. They going to say, I'm Nigerian. They going to say, I'm from Ghana. They going to say, I'm from Kenya. There's over 50 different countries in Africa. Which one do you come from if you claim Africa? How you doing, brother? You got any questions on anything? So what is your father? Ask you, what's your nationality? You don't know who you are? You fit the prophecy. Where would your father be? Will he be like so-called black man, African American? African American? Okay. So that would make you have a chart right here. The so-called African Americans, they will be known as Judah. Because we read prophecy, read that again. Because something happened. Are you familiar with the Bible? You just started reading all praises. So it's in the Bible, you know, God has a chosen people, right? Something happened to his chosen people. This was happened. Read that again.
Isaiah 1 verse 3. The ox knoweth his owner.
So an ox is a dumb animal. He said an ox know his owner, meaning he know where he come from. Go ahead.
And the ass his master's crib.
An ass is a donkey. Like it's saying, the ass know if he get lost, he gonna know how to get back home. A donkey, two dumb animals. Go ahead.
But Israel
is God's chosen people. He say, but Israel
does not know.
He say Israel don't know. That's a prophecy you just fulfilled. I asked you what's your nationality. You said I don't know, because that means you fit the prophecy of this book. Go ahead.
My people does not consider.
He said my people don't even consider who they are. We just walk around all day and we don't even know who we are. We don't even consider who we are. And there's a reason. Get Jeremiah 17. And there's a reason for that, because God have a chosen people, and he made an agreement with them. He told them, if you keep my covenants, you get if you keep my commandments, you get blessings. He said, if you break my commandments, you go get curses. So what happened when you read the Bible, his people broke the commandments. And also, and this curse fell on them. Watch this.
Jeremiah 17. Jeremiah 17 verse 4. And thou, even thyself, shall discontinue.
You know what discontinue means? Discontinue means stop. Like if you go to a supermarket and they say this item is discontinued, that means we no longer sell it no more. So he said, you and yourself go discontinue. Let's see from what?
From thine heritage.
He said you go stop from your heritage. Your heritage is everything about you. What you eat, what you drink, how you dress, who's your God, everything about you. Because when you think about it, every nationality got their own heritage. You go to East Indian, they got their own heritage. Their God is Hindu. They do Hindu. You go to Japan, their God is, they got their own heritage and all customs and all how they dress. Everybody got their own heritage except for us. We don't know what's our heritage. We don't know nothing about ourselves. All we know is we was picked up from the west coast of Africa, and our heritage was stripped from us. Read that again.
And thou, even thyself, shall discontinue from thine heritage.
He said you go discontinue from your heritage. That's why you said you don't know who you are. Go ahead.
That I gave thee.
You go discontinue from your heritage that God gave us. And what's going to happen?
And I will cause thee to serve thine enemies.
And I'm going to cause you to serve your enemies. Go ahead.
In the land which thou knowest not.
So you going to serve your enemies in the land you don't know. Did this not happen to our forefathers? They came over to America and served their enemies in the land that they didn't know. And what else happened to them? Their heritage was stolen from them. Go ahead.
For ye have kindled a fire in my anger.
Because we pissed God off. Because we made an agreement with him to do something. Let's read that again. What's your name, brother? Elijah? I'm Marcus. Nice to meet you, brother. Nice to meet you. So let's get Deuteronomy 28. So we're going to go to the beginning where God made an agreement with his people. He made an agreement with his people, and this the agreement. And I'm going to show you Bible prophecy. Stuff that was written thousands of years ago that's still happening today. That's how we know this is the true book. Watch this. Get Deuteronomy 28, verse 15.
Deuteronomy 28, verse 15. But it shall come to pass.
Meaning it's going to happen in the future. It shall come to pass, meaning it's going to happen in the future.
If thou wilt not hearken unto the voice of the Lord thy God.
He said if you do not listen to the voice of God,
to observe, to do all his commandments and his statutes, which I command thee this day.
He said if you don't listen to God to keep the commandments that I gave you today,
that all these curses,
that all these what?
All these curses,
say all these curses
shall come upon thee and overtake thee.
He said if you don't keep my commandments, all these curses will come upon you and overtake you. This is part of the agreement. Go back to verse 1. So part of the agreement is I gave you commandments. If you break the commandments, you get curses. Let's see what happens if you keep the commandments.
And it shall come to pass, if thou shalt hearken diligently unto the voice of the Lord thy God.
So he said if you shall listen to the voice of God,
to observe, to do all his commandments, which I command thee this day.
That if you listen to God to keep the commandments,
that the Lord thy God will set thee on high above all nations.
He said, I'm going to put you above all nations, meaning you go rule the earth. If you keep my commandments, you go rule the earth. Go ahead.
All nations of the earth, and all these blessings shall come on thee.
And you going to get all these blessings. And when you read verse 1 through 14, it's all the blessings. Then we read 15, is read the curses. So let's see what the curses mean. Go to verse 46. So he said, so that's the contract that he made with the people he chose. He said, if you keep my commandments, you get blessings. If you break my commandments, you get curses. So let's see what these curses mean. Watch what these curses mean, Elijah. Wait, watch what these curses mean.
Deuteronomy 28, verse 46. And they shall be upon thee for a sign and for a wonder.
He said, these curses will be on you for a sign and a wonder. Have you ever wondered, why do all this stuff happen to our people? Like, why we keep getting shot down by the police? Why we keep getting shot down by each other? Why we gotta say Black Lives Matter? Why we go through so much hell? We the best people on the earth. We run faster, jump higher, stronger, smarter than everybody, but we at the bottom. Why do this stuff happen to us? He said these curses, there'll be a sign and a wonder. A sign tells you something. Like that sign right there. You don't know Winsville is that way unless you look at that sign. So he say the curse is going to be on you for a sign
and for a wonder.
and for a wonder. For you to wonder like, damn, why do we go through so much hell as a people? You might have a couple people that make it out the hood, but for the majority, our people, our streets is crazy. It's like we gotta work like a slave just to break even. He say they gonna be upon you for a sign and for a wonder. Go ahead.
And upon thy seed forever.
Your seed is your kids, your descendants, and your kids gonna go through the same curses. This is what was gonna happen if you break the commandments. So the curses is a sign, right? So we gonna read the curses, and I want you to think to yourself, who did these curses happen to in history? Because right now, where we read it didn't happen yet. But when you look in 2017 and look back in history, you can tell, dang, all this happened to one people. And that's what's going to be the sign to let you know who you are. Because what happened to us? We lost our heritage. We don't know who we are. It was beat out of us. So how are we ever going to learn who we are? The answer was in the Bible the whole time. Watch this. Get verse 32. Now, have you ever heard of Jewish people? Jewish people, the so-called white people that wear the little tomahawks on their head and have the little curly thing. They say they are the people of the book. They say they are the Jews. But for them to be the Jews, right, they have to fit the stuff in the Bible, right? So I want you to think, when we read these curses, I want you to look back in history and think to yourself, did this happen to somebody else, or did this happen to them that say they are Jewish? Watch this. Read verse 32.
Deuteronomy 28, verse 32.
So this is one of the curses. This is the first curse I'm going to show you.
Thy sons and thy daughters shall be given unto another people.
So this is the first curse if we broke the commandments as a people. He said, your sons and your daughters given to another people. Go ahead.
And thine eyes shall look and fail with longing for them all the day long.
And your eyes, you're going to be wanting your kids back. Your kids going to be given to another people, and your eyes going to be looking for your kids all the day long. Go ahead.
And there shall be no might in thine hand.
But you ain't going to have no might to get your kids back. So let's see where your kids going to go. Jump to verse 41.
Deuteronomy 28, verse 41. Thou shalt beget sons and daughters.
So you're going to have sons and daughters,
but thou shalt not enjoy them.
It's a curse. He said, you're going to have sons and daughters, but for breaking my commandments, you ain't going to enjoy your sons and daughters. Go ahead.
For they shall go into captivity.
They going where?
Into captivity.
He said, because your sons and daughters going in slavery. So that's the first curse. So I want you to think in your head, okay, sons and daughters going into slavery. Did this happen to the Jewish people that say they the people of the book? Or did this happen to somebody else? I ain't even gonna say who it is. We just gonna read the curses, and I want you to line up who are the people in 2017. Let's read another curse. Get 46. No, 48.
Deuteronomy 28, verse 48. Therefore shalt thou serve thine enemies.
So one of the curses is you gonna serve your enemies,
which the Lord shall send against thee.
Which the Lord gonna send against you. Go ahead.
In hunger.
When you need food, you gotta go to your enemies. Go ahead.
And in thirst.
You need water, you gotta go to your enemies. If you don't pay your water bill, no water. The water bottles, our people don't own the companies that make the water bottles and where we gotta go to the store and buy. We don't own none of that. Go ahead.
And in nakedness.
Our clothes, we gotta go to our enemies for clothes. We got black people that own clothing lines, but where do they get the textile, the fabrics to make them clothes? They got to go to their enemies for that. Go ahead.
And in want of all things.
In want of all things. Birth certificate, death certificate, education, bank loan, business loan, anything. In want of all things, we got to go to another people for. We can't go to our own people for something that we need. We got to go and beg another nation. This is a curse. Go ahead.
And he shall put a yoke of iron upon thy neck.
And he is the enemy. The enemy is going to put yokes of iron on your neck. Now I want you to keep thinking in history, who did this happen to? And who is it still happening to? He said, yokes of iron upon thy neck
until he have destroyed thee.
until you have been destroyed. Because the yokes of iron in our history came off when Abraham Lincoln freed the slaves. Where did they go? Where did the slaves go when Abraham Lincoln freed them? You know that they didn't go nowhere. All they knew was picking cotton. He didn't give them no money. He didn't give them reparations. He just left. He said, y'all free, go ahead. They were like, we don't know where to go. So they became sharecroppers. So they were still picking the cotton for their former slave masters, but they were just getting paid pennies. They was getting paid like 10 cents an hour. So we was already destroyed. By that time, by 1800s, we didn't know who we are. They already stripped us from our heritage. We had all our slave owners' last names. We still got their last names till today. So we was destroyed as a people. Now give me 68. Now how do we get over here to this side of the America? On a boat, right? Let's read and see if that's one of the curse. Read that, 68.
Deuteronomy 28, verse 68. And the Lord shall bring thee into Egypt again.
So he said one of the curses is, I'm going to bring you into Egypt again. Let's see what Egypt means. Get Exodus 20 and 2.
Exodus 20, verse 2. I am the Lord thy God, which have brought thee out of the land of Egypt, out of the house of bondage.
So he called Egypt the house of bondage. House, another word for bondage is captivity or slavery. So he said, go back to 68. So we know that Egypt means bondage. Go ahead.
Deuteronomy 28, verse 68. And the Lord shall bring thee into Egypt again.
So he said, this one of the curse. He said, I'm going to bring you into Egypt. Egypt means bondage. I'm going to bring you into bondage again. You want to get it? We had Deuteronomy 28. Yeah, Deuteronomy 28. Deuteronomy is like the fourth book. The fifth book.
Fifth.
Old Testament.
Yeah. We'll let you get there.
What was it?
28 and chapter 28, verse 68.
Verse 68.
Yeah. You got it? All right, read that again.
Deuteronomy 28, verse 68. And the Lord shall bring thee into Egypt again.
Oh, he said, I'm going to bring you into Egypt again. Is that a King James Version? Do yours say exactly the same thing? Okay. So he said, I'm going to bring you into Egypt. We read in Exodus 20 that Egypt means bondage. So one of the curses is, I'm going to bring you into bondage again, but this time, watch this.
With ships.
But this time you're going to bondage on slave ships. Go ahead.
By the way whereof I spake unto thee.
He said, it's going to happen just how I'm speaking it to you. Just how I'm speaking it to you is exactly how it's going to happen. Go ahead.
Thou shalt see it no more again.
He said, you ain't going to see your homeland no more again. So he said, you're going to bondage again, but this time you're going on slave ships. What happened as soon as we got off those slave ships? What was the first thing they did? Put us in chains and did what? They sold us, right? As soon as we got off those slave ships, they sold us. Watch what the Bible says.
And there
once you get off those slave ships, what?
ye shall be sold.
Hold on, ye shall be what?
Ye shall be sold.
Ye shall be sold, just like the brother said. Ye shall be sold for what?
Unto your enemies.
Unto your enemies for what?
For bondmen.
For slave men.
And bond women.
And slave women. This is Bible prophecy. This is what's going to happen to God's chosen people if they broke his commandments. Now I want you to think to yourself, look back in history, when did this happen to the Jewish man? When did all they people go on slavery, on slave ships, and was sold for slaves? Did that ever happen to them? Who did that happen to? When did they go on ships?
They didn't go on ships after the war.
I'm going to tell you this, brother. They never went on ships. They never went on ships. They never were sold. Who was they sold to?
They were killed.
Who was they sold? So that history is not in the Bible. That history is your history. That's what I'm trying to tell you. Your identity was stolen from you. They never went on slavery on slave ships. This is the biggest case of identity theft that happened in the whole world. This is the secret. They call us Africans, but we're not Africans. Africans don't claim us. They tell us we not the same people. That's because Africans didn't sell Africans in slavery. Africans sold God's people in slavery because we broke God's covenant. Give me Revelation chapter 2. Let's get Revelation. Watch this, brother. Because they call themselves the Jewish people, right?
Yeah, it's the last
Revelation
book.
is at the end, the last book of the Bible. Revelation chapter 2, because they say they are the Jews, right? But we read the Jews went on slavery on slave ships. Is that a coincidence that we got the exact history of what happened in the Bible and they don't?
Is that the Caribbean?
Yeah, it's after Corinthians.
Yeah, it's the last book in the Bible. It's gonna be after Peter and
So
Jude.
is that do you think that's a coincidence, bro?
You said Revelation 1.
Chapter 2. Revelation chapter 2. Do you think that's a coincidence that our history fit the exact stuff in the Bible and their history is something different? It's the biggest case of identity theft that we don't know.
We don't know in the masses, but if you research it, it's a tool used to govern the masses by making them believe to go against the church is to go against God. The rules that were instilled and backed behind religious acts were instilled and acted upon for the church, by the church.
By what people? By what? By these people. So did that history ever happen to them? How can they dictate the rules of a book that wasn't given to them? Have you thought about that? How can they make rules and dictate and govern things in a book that wasn't theirs, that they stole? Watch this, because they say they are the real Jews, right? They say that they are God's chosen people. Because that's a special thing. To be the chosen people of God, that's big. That's big. So watch this. Watch what Christ said about that. Give Revelation 2 verse 9.
Revelation 2 verse 9. I know thy works and tribulation.
So Christ said, he talking to the real Jews. He said, I know your works and tribulation. Tribulation means troubles. Because the real Jews, they in troubles right now. They went on slavery on slave ships like Moses told them. They were sold for slave men and slave women. They getting persecuted. They at the bottom of society. He said, Christ said, I know your works and your troubles. Go ahead.
And poverty.
And poverty. Because the real Jews are in poverty. They poor. But are the Jewish people, are they poor? They own the banks. They own TV. They're not poor. He said, Christ said, I know your tribulation and your poverty. Go ahead.
But thou art rich.
He said, but you rich because everything in this Bible belongs to you. The kingdom of heaven belongs to you. Not the pie in the sky kingdom. Kingdom of heaven is going to be rulership, to rule the earth again. Go ahead.
And I know the blasphemy.
Y'all know what blasphemy means? It's a lie against God. Y'all heard that? Blasphemy means a vain lie. He said, I know the blasphemy
of them which say they are Jews.
He said, I know the blasphemy, the vain lie of them which say they are Jews
and are not.
But they not the real Jews. But what are they?
But are the synagogue of Satan.
But they are the church of Satan. They stole your identity and said, we God's chosen people, y'all Africans. That's the biggest case of identity theft. We don't know. Give me Jeremiah 17:4. Because we don't know who we are. That was a curse that fell on our people. Because we broke the commandments. God told us it was going to happen to us. but we was rebellious, and we still decided to go against God. We was that rebellious, and we still decided to go against God, and we wanted to be like everybody else. Watch this, Jeremiah 17:4.
Jeremiah 17, verse 4. And thou, even thyself, shalt discontinue from thine heritage.
Remember we read this? This is one of the curses too. He said you was going to discontinue from your heritage. Your heritage is everything about you. Where you come from, how you dress, what you eat, what God you serve. Your heritage is everything about you. He said this is the curse. He said you will discontinue from your heritage
that I gave thee.
That God gave us. He was going to use that. Go ahead.
And I will cause thee to serve thine enemies.
He said, and I will cause you to serve your enemies. Where at?
In the land which thou knowest not.
In the land we don't know. We didn't know this land. We was kidnapped and brought over here. Just like the Jamaicans was kidnapped and brought over there. Just like the Haitians was kidnapped and brought over there and would serve their enemies in the land that they didn't know. Go ahead.
For ye have kindled a fire in my anger.
Because we pissed God off. Give me Amos 3:1. We pissed God off. He made an agreement with us. Go ahead, bro. No problem, no problem. You got a flyer? We got a number on that flyer, and we got my number on there. We got a website. Check that website out. We have class every Saturday from 1.
CD.
CD, yeah. Yeah. Turn it over. Right there, that's our address. We on 367 and Parker Road, and we go over the scriptures all day. Yeah, bro, we'll pick you up. Yeah, call that number. The flyer, give a flyer. Yeah, man, yeah. Don't do that, bro. Joshua. Yeah, hey, don't do that, bro. Let that shit ride, man. Let that shit ride. Joshua, my name Marcus. Let me come on, man. I ain't want you. We still get some understanding right here. With Amos 3:1. Because give me Deuteronomy 7:6. Because you know why they stole our identity? They stole our identity because if we didn't know who we are, they can continue to rule over us. As long as we stay in sin, God ain't dealing with us. That's why we got to come back as a nation of people, remember who we are, and come back to our God. Watch this, because we think all man is created equal, right?
No, I don't think that.
You don't think that? Well, that's what they teach us.
That's what they told me.
But you know that's not with God, right?
That's not true.
That's not true at all. Exactly. You got some sense enough to know that.
Yeah.
But a lot of people will say, God loves everybody, we're all created equal. You know that's not true. Watch this, Deuteronomy 7, verse 6.
Deuteronomy 7, verse 6. For thou art a holy people.
So he's talking to Israel. He said, you are a holy people. Holy means separate. Go ahead.
Unto the Lord thy God.
He said, you holy unto God. Go ahead.
The Lord thy God hath chosen thee.
He said, he have chosen us. You was chosen before you was born. He said, you was chosen thee what?
To be a special people.
To be a special people. Go ahead.
Unto himself. Above all.
No, equal.
Above.
No, below.
Above.
He said he chose us to be above
all people that are upon the face of the earth.
He said we are above all people on the face of the earth. So this is something that we don't know about ourselves because we think we African, but we not African. Get ham for me. I'm going to show you something. This is something, they know something that we don't know. And all we do is pick up the books and read it. And study, because they got it in the books. What they say though, if you want to hide something from a black man, put it in the book. But look, now, no, we picking the books up and we reading them for ourselves. And now we getting the understanding. And they afraid. That this is the new revolution. Young black men on the street preaching about, you ain't never seen this.
No,
this is the new revolution. This messed everybody up. at the Haley station. This is a new revolution right here. Watch this. Get Ham.
Ham.
Carl, what this is. This is a Zondervan Bible Dictionary. It gives you a lot of definitions of words that's in the Bible or people. Now watch this. We didn't write this book. We just pick it up and read it. Watch this.
Ham, the youngest son of Noah.
So Ham is the youngest son of Noah. You familiar with Noah? Go ahead.
Born probably about 96 years before the flood, and the one of 8 persons to live through the flood. He became the progenitor.
The progenitor means the forefather. So Ham became the forefather
Of the dark races.
So Ham is the forefather of all the dark races. But watch this.
Not the Negroes.
Well, who?
Not the Negroes.
But not the Negroes. What did they call us when we was over here getting sold? Negroes. Look, the flyers didn't say Africans for sale. The flyers said to be sold Negroes. So that's why the scholars said not the Negroes. So if we not from Ham, let's see who is.
But the Egyptians.
The Egyptians are from Ham, which are Africans.
Ethiopians.
Africans.
Libyans.
Africans.
And Canaanites.
Africans. So Ham is the forefather of the Africans, but he's not the forefather of the Negroes. We didn't write this book. We just picking it up and read. So they obviously know something that we don't know. So if we're not African, who are we? Watch this. Give me that Babylon to Timbuktu.
Oh, you got that book?
Yeah. Yeah, this is a good book. Get page 84. This from Rudolph R. Renzor. He was a history professor at a university. He went out and studied all these people and got the real history. And this is what he came up with. Page 84, start right here in the year.
In the year 65 BC, the Roman armies under General Pompey captured Jerusalem.
So in the year 65 BC, the Roman armies captured Jerusalem. This is basic history. Go ahead.
In 70 AD, General Vespasian and his son Titus put an end to the Jewish state.
So the Roman Empire put an end to the Jewish state in 70 AD. They went in and took over. Go ahead.
With great slaughter during the period of the military governors of the Palestine. Many outrages and atrocities were committed against the residue of the people.
So everybody that got caught by the Roman Empire, it was atrocities committed to them. Go ahead.
During the period from Pompey to Julius, it has been estimated that over 1 million Jews.
Say over 1 million Jews did what?
Fled into Africa.
Fled where?
Into Africa.
The Jews had to flee into Africa. Go ahead.
Fleeing from Roman persecution.
Running from Roman persecution. That's why we were in Africa when they picked us up. Because we were ran out of Jerusalem. This is the history we don't know before we was picked up and kidnapped on the west coast of Africa. Because only thing we know is...
When it began in school, they teach you we all came from Africa.
Exactly.
We all was one continent. It split up.
That's where it started.
Then all of a sudden...
And then 2 days later, we got kidnapped. I'm like, that, where the rest of the history at? This is the rest of the history. The Jews, we over 1 million Jews. What are they?
It has been estimated.
That
over 1 million Jews fled into Africa.
Go ahead.
Fleeing from Roman persecution and slavery.
Because the Romans started slavery back then in 70 AD. Go ahead.
The slave markets were full of black Jewish slaves.
Hold on. Did you hear that? The slave markets were what?
Were full of black Jewish slaves.
The slave markets were full of Jews. That's how the Africans know they didn't sell other Africans. The Africans sold Jews. Remember, we read that curse in the Bible. Ye shall be sold unto your enemies for slave men and slave women. That was a prophecy. That prophecy came true. This is real history. So that makes the Bible the true book. Ain't no other book can show you why we went into slavery and what for. Now that was the Roman Empire. Now let's go to Christ. Christ prophesied of this happening. He told the people that was going to happen. Luke chapter 21. That's real history. Christ told the people that was going to happen after he died. And the people that believed him, they the ones that fled into Africa. Because Christ told them, when you see the armies coming, surrounding Jerusalem, run into Africa. Run into Africa. That's why he say over 1 million Jews ran into Africa, fleeing from Roman persecution. That's why we here. Luke 21, verse 24. Luke 21. Let's start at 21.
Watch this, bro.
Luke 21, verse 21. Then let them which are in Judea flee to the mountains.
Start at 20.
Luke 21, verse 20. And when ye shall see Jerusalem compassed with armies.
So this what colors these letters? This is Christ talking. He said, when you see Jerusalem compassed, means surrounded. When you see Jerusalem surrounded with armies, remember we read in the history book that the Roman Empire, Titus, he captured Jerusalem in 70 AD. He said when you see, right, that was after the death of Christ. But here Christ is warning them, because Christ already knew it was going to happen, so he's warning his people. He said, read that again, 20.
And when ye shall see Jerusalem compassed with armies.
He said, when you see Jerusalem surrounded by armies,
then know that the desolation thereof is nigh.
He say, know that y'all about to get destroyed. It's near. Go ahead.
Then let them which are in Judea flee to the mountains.
He say, them that's in Judea flee into the mountains. That's going into Africa, Egypt. He said, flee into the mountains. Right. So the people, we're here, it say 1 million people flee into Africa. Because them the ones that believe what Christ said. As soon as they seen them armies coming, they like, that's what Christ was talking about. We need to go into Africa. That's what Christ was prophesying of. Go ahead.
And let them which are in the midst of it depart out.
So he said, when you see the army surrounded, run into Africa. Jump to verse 24. Jump to verse 24.
Luke 21, verse 24. And they shall fall by the edge of the sword.
Remember, we read that in the book. They was killed with great slaughter. He said, and they which is still left in Jerusalem shall fall by the sword. Meaning they go die by the sword. Go ahead.
And shall be led away captive.
And shall be what?
Led away captive.
What is a captive? A slave. And they shall be led away captives where?
Into all nations.
Into all nations. Go ahead.
And Jerusalem
shall
be trodden down.
And Jerusalem will be destroyed. Go ahead.
Of the Gentiles.
Of the Gentiles. The Gentiles was the Roman Empire. The Roman Empire, the Gentiles came in and destroyed Jerusalem. That's basic history that was prophesied by Christ. That's how you know this is the true book. You can line up history directly with the Bible. Line it up perfect. Go ahead.
Until the times of the Gentiles shall be fulfilled.
Until the times of the Gentiles be fulfilled, meaning when we get the kingdom back. Because get Luke chapter 1, verse 68. Because that's what...
But we don't get the kingdom back.
We do get the kingdom back.
When do we get it?
Good question. Watch this. Luke chapter 1, verse 68.
Luke chapter 1, verse 68. Blessed be the Lord God of Israel.
The God of who?
Of Israel.
No, he's the God of everybody.
Of Israel.
It say, blessed be the Lord God of Israel. These people right here. Israel. Go ahead.
For he has visited and redeemed his people,
He redeemed his people by sending Christ. Go ahead.
and has raised up a horn of salvation for us in the house of his servant David.
That horn of salvation was Christ. He raised up Christ to be our horn of salvation. Salvation is saved because it's two parts of salvation. That's why Christ got two comings. His first coming was come to die for his people's sins. His second coming is this. Go ahead.
As he spake by the mouth of his holy prophets, which have been since the world began,
That what?
that we should be saved,
That we should be what?
saved
That we should be saved
from our enemies,
from what?
from our enemies,
From our enemies. Go ahead.
and from the hand of all that hate us,
And from the hand of all that hate us. Go ahead.
to perform the mercy promised to our fathers,
To perform the mercy that was promised to our forefathers. So that's why it say
We will inherit the earth.
we will rule the earth. Exactly. Because right now, get Job 9 and 24. Yeah, all praises. All praises. So get Job 9 and 24. Because right now, the earth is what?
Theirs.
The earth is theirs.
It's almost over.
The-
What's theirs?
the- yeah. The earth, the earth is yours. Is that true or false?
She do not like this.
I've been talking about this all week and I'm pissed. I really have been.
But your people rule the earth. That's true, right? If you go to China, there's a American embassy in China. If you go to Iraq, there's an American embassy in Iraq. If you go to any other country, there's an American embassy there.
It ain't one in Africa.
Right, it's one there.
It's in like the where they Kiwana.
Yeah, it's in Africa. It's there.
Yeah.
They got them all over.
But
They got them all over. How is that? Ain't no Chinese embassy here. Ain't no Arab embassy here. That your people rule the earth. Watch this. Get Job 9 and 24. Job 9 and 24. It's the truth. We can't run from it. We can't run from it. We know who rule the earth. We know who rules, make the laws, go into other countries, take over, kill their leaders, take over, take their oil, take their resources, bring it back here, set up a fake government over there. We know who do that. Watch this, because this was a prophecy. Watch this.
Job 9 verse 24. The earth is given unto the hand of the wicked.
Hold on, the earth is given to who?
The hand of the wicked.
They say the earth is given to the hand of the wicked. Who rule the earth? So who's the wicked?
the white
Exactly. It's not calculus. It's not calculus. It said the earth is given into the hand of the wicked. Go ahead.
He covered his face of the judges thereof.
He covered the face of the judges. The judges mean God's chosen people. They came together and took our book and put their images in our book. They made Christ a so-called white man. They made Abraham. Right.
I always thought
I'm
They-
like, what the fuck is this?
Right.
'Cause
And
he got-
Christ is described.
Cause he got
could've
hair
been
of
a black
wool,
guy,
like
you know what I'm
dreads.
saying?
Yeah.
Long, like,
Let's get there.
we the only
Revelation.
people with that
hair of wool. I mean,
Yeah.
come on now.
Hair wool, but it go deeper. It go deeper than just wool.
Hey, look, man, you gonna have us outside all night.
Watch this. The truth. The truth smack you in the face. You can't run from truth, especially if you've been thinking about it recently.
Yeah, I have been.
Yeah.
See?
I've been talking about this all
What one? Yeah, Revelation chapter 1. Revelation chapter 1, verse 14. The verse 14.
Revelation 1 verse 14. His head and his arms, no, his head and his hairs were white like wool.
So this is the biblical description of Christ. His head and his hairs were white like wool,
As white as snow,
as white as snow, right?
and his eyes were as a flame of fire, and his feet like
Hey, I
unto
respect
fine
what y'all are
brass.
doing, but we can't
And
have
his
people
feet
loitering up here.
like unto fine brass. What color is
I don't know
brass?
if you got somewhere else you guys can go. You can go across
Brown.
the street. To
Brown.
Yeah,
or
like,
goldish.
something.
You can say gold, brown, red.
You're gonna have to get out of
As
here, man.
if they burn in the
Because the problem
furnace.
is we get crowds
As if
together
what?
up here, and then bad
As
stuff
if they
happens.
burn in the
The thing
furnace.
is,
As
we
if
defused a lot
now
of
he
that.
said
It was
his
an
feet
officer a
as
couple
if
weeks
they
ago when
burn
it was something
in
to
the
go on. He
furnace.
let us go. He said, just don't be too loud.
If you burn something in the furnace, what color is it gonna be?
Right now, nothing going
Black.
on.
I feel you. I feel
Ain't
you.
nothing
So
going
it
on. We don't
describes
got that going
Christ
on, okay?
as
We
a
just controlling how
dark-skinned
y'all
man.
controlling right now. We
As
controlling
a
just
dark
like
skinned
you
man,
are.
get
So,
Psalm of Solomon
I feel
if we do gotta go, if we would, but
I mean, I don't want to make you go because I respect what you guys
that's
are
what
doing.
I'm saying. So, but the thing is, you know, the same way y'all patrolling, that's what we doing right now too. Ain't no, you know, they calm, you know,
Well, yeah, I know.
everything.
Oh, what's the problem, sir?
No, you saying
No,
we
not
gotta
really.
leave.
I mean, they don't want people loitering up here, so I don't really have too big of a problem with what you guys are doing.
Yeah, they said we talked to y'all not last week, but a couple weeks ago. They said as long as we turn the mic off after hours, we good.
What's after hours?
After hours
He
was
didn't
9.
tell us.
Huh?
They said 9.
9?
They said as long as we turn the mic off, yeah, we've been doing good, man. We been up here stopping fights and everything.
I'd be cool with that.
Yeah, we stop fights. Yeah, the police is up here listening and everything.
9 o'clock good?
Yeah, 9 o'clock. Yeah, we turn the mic off right at 9.
right.
Every week. Every week we turn it off and we just talk.
All right. I can handle that.
Okay, appreciate it.
You guys good?
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
I appreciate it.
Yep.
Good, Song of Solomon, chapter 1, verse 5. So it described him as a dark-skinned man.
Ain't playing
Is that true or false? That's the biblical description. Go ahead, give 1 verse 5.
Song of Solomon, chapter 1, verse 5. I am black.
Hold on. One Song of Solomon is Christ's great-great-great-great-great-great-grandfather. What did he say?
I am black,
He said, I am black.
but comely.
Comely means handsome. He said, I am black, but handsome. Go ahead.
Come, O ye daughters. I am black, but comely, O ye daughters of Jerusalem, as the tents of Kedar.
As the tents of Kedar. Kedar means dark. So he said, I am black, but handsome. So why is they painting all the images to look like them? These people. So that's the where religions come from. The Baptist church, that's the origin. You can look that up. That's the origins of all these churches. So let me ask you this. If we're supposed to learn the Bible from the Jews, how come Gentiles is teaching it, setting up the churches? Because you're not getting taught the real understanding of the Bible. You get exactly. You getting taught what they to govern the masses. Exactly. It was a plot started by Constantine, the Roman Empire. Christianity was started. Right. It was the Roman Catholic Church in the year 324 AD. Constantine was the first so-called Christian, and he integrated pagan gods into Christianity.
When that war came with the Roman Empire and the Christians.
Yeah. With the Roman, yeah, because he was trying to merge them together.
But he couldn't do it.
He did a good job.
He tried.
He did a good job. He did a good job. Give me
So which Bible do you guys use?
This is the King James Version Bible.
Because isn't there many versions?
There are many versions.
That's what I always wondered, like which one's real.
The most accurate translation is the King James Version. Because you know how I say I am black in that scripture? Other Bibles will say I am dark. You know, they change up little words in it. You know what I mean? But the King James Version is the most accurate Bible version. And what color was King James? It was black. Do you got a picture of King James?
I think it's that book.
Get Bible in the because a lot of people think King James was a so-called white man.
Okay. Hey, give me like 2 seconds. We're finna run to our car right quick, and then we gotta catch our bus at 8:34. So
Okay.
Then come right back.
Let me show you this picture real quick. That's King James right there.
Because I never seen it.
Right in the middle.
They don't always like to look this good. They just tell us.
Oh, no. History is all about most
That is King James.
Never seen it. You had to get it out of this book.
You gotta go to the book. You gotta go to the book.
Big old question part for the missing
missing
link. So have y'all read the part of the Bible where it's a Bible, it's a chapter?
It's right here.
where the angels came down and made it with the humans?
That's in Genesis 6. That's not missing. That's in Genesis 6. But this is what's missing from the Bible right here. This is called the Apocrypha. Get King James Version Bible. That's what they took out. That's what they took this out in the 1700s. You see where I say on the front? Authorized King James Version. Watch this. You got King James. You start at 47. Watch this, bro. This is how King James put the Bible together. What's up, brother? How you doing?
47 of the best Hebrew and Greek scholars of the day were divided into 6 groups.
So King James, he hired 47 Hebrew and Greek scholars. Not just Hebrew and Greek scholars, the best Hebrew and Greek scholars of that day. Go ahead. And he divided them into 6 groups. Watch this.
3 for the Old Testament.
3 groups translated the Old Testament. Go ahead.
2 for the New.
2 groups translated the New Testament. Go ahead.
And 1 for the Apocrypha.
And 1 group translated the Apocrypha. So this book was included in the Bible. Watch this. I got an original Bible. When you buy your Bible, you want to get the original 1611 King James. This the original 1611 King James. Now watch this. So what that say, the table of contents? It say the Old Testament,
And the Apocrypha?
the Apocrypha,
And the New Testament.
and the New Testament.
I've
And
never
each
seen
person-
that.
This is
I've
what they
never
took
heard
out.
of Maccabees or the
Exactly.
the Dragon or Susanna 300. I've never heard of
They never. That's what they took out the Bible.
To hide it.
14 books is
I feel
80.
so dumb.
Is 80.
I'm 27 and I've never seen it.
Brother, I never knew this till I was 30, 32. You know, it's the history. This Psalms 83. It was a conspiracy against us. You can't help when you got all other nations planning against you. You can't help but be lost. But God already told us it was going to happen to us. And best believe it, God said it was going to happen. It was going to happen. He said we was going to go on slave ships and be sold.
He also said we're going to win.
And he said we was going to come. But how do you get it though?
By believing in him.
By believing and doing what?
Asking God.
And doing what?
Go to
Pray.
that Sirach
Pray?
32.
Yeah.
Now let's get that. Let's see how we get it. Now, this is important. Give me Matthew 19. This is the most important question. How do we get that kingdom? And first, what is the kingdom? Do you know what is? Do y'all know what the
The
kingdom?
world?
Huh?
The world?
The kingdom is the world, but what is the world? Like what?
Power?
What power? Rulership.
Yeah, like,
You gonna be on? You say you gonna be on top. So I'm gonna show y'all what the kingdom is and how to get it. Give me hold that. Get Isaiah 14 and 1. These are scriptures your pastors ain't gonna show you. But watch this. Let's see what the kingdom is and see is it worth getting. Watch this. Isaiah chapter 14, verse 1. Because a lot of people don't know what the kingdom is. When you say the kingdom of heaven, you just think of pie in the sky somewhere or something. What is the kingdom of heaven? The kingdom of heaven is rulership. Rulership of the earth. Watch this. Isaiah 14, verse 1.
Isaiah 14, verse 1. For the Lord will have mercy on Jacob.
He said the Lord gonna have mercy on Jacob. We ain't gotta guess who he gonna have mercy on. The Lord gonna have mercy on Jacob. Y'all are Jacob, go ahead.
And will yet choose Israel.
And he's gonna choose his people. Even though they rebelled against him, he loved, this is the greatest love story ever told. He loved them so much, he still gonna choose them in the end. Go ahead.
And set them on high in their own land.
And set them back in their own land. Because right now the real Jews ain't in their land. The people that's in Israel, Jerusalem right now, those are the pretendos. Those, remember, he say they are not the Jews. They Gentiles, real Gentiles. The Jews ain't in their own land. The Lord said he gonna put them in their land. Right?
And the strangers shall
And who?
and the strangers shall be joined with them.
The strangers is who? The Gentiles. He said the strangers shall be joined with them. Go ahead.
And they shall cleave to the house of Jacob.
And they gonna cleave to God's people. Go ahead.
And the people shall take them and bring them to their place.
And it said the people go bring them to their place. Go ahead.
And the house of Israel,
And the who?
and the house of Israel
And the house of Israel go do what?
shall possess them.
Hold on. Shall do what?
Shall possess them.
When you possess something, what is that?
You control.
You own them.
You rule.
You rule. He said you shall possess them. Watch this.
That's
In the land of the Lord
He said you gonna possess them in the land of the Lord for what?
for servants and handmaids.
Ooh, for servants and handmaids. That's what you gotta accept, sister. You gotta accept to be a servant. That's righteous though. To be a servant in the kingdom. But that's your judgment for your people.
that's like right now.
Exactly. We serving y'all right now.
Like right now.
So the table's gonna be flipped.
Right.
Wait,
Go ahead.
oh yeah.
For servants and handmaids.
He said God's people go possess them in the land of the Lord for servants and handmaids. Go ahead.
And they shall take them captive,
We gonna take them captives
whose captives they were.
because we was they captives. Go ahead.
And they shall rule over their oppressors.
And we gonna rule over our oppressors. That's called justice. Justice. That's the kingdom of heaven. Having servants and all the other nations. You're gonna have the Arab, the African, the Chinese man, the Japanese man, the so-called white man as servants and handmaids in the kingdom of heaven. Rulership. Get Revelation 13. That's called payback.
Man, it was nice to meet you, Mark.
And then you got
And Jacob,
Joshua.
Joshua.
Do this
Nice to meet you, sis.
every
Kira.
week.
Kira.
Yeah.
Every week. Yeah, we got a flyer, we got a number on there. Call me if you got any questions,
Is this a
man.
place?
That's some good
It
music.
was nice to meet you.
All right, y'all have
Is
a
this
good
like
one.
a church or?
It's a
place?
congregation, it's a school.
Oh, awesome.
It's a school.
Okay. Thank you. For
All right.
Hey, thank
How you doing, bro? My name Marcus.
What's going on, brother?
Nice to meet you.
All right.
What's your name?
My name is Delance.
Delancey. All right, got a question?
All right. Yes, sir.
You look like you got a question.
Oh, yeah.
yeah.
Oh,
We love questions.
I mean, all right. All right. I mean, I pretty much understand that my people is the chosen people above all nations and stuff like
Right,
that.
right.
But, you know, I got some concerns concerning like martial law, you know, mark of the beast, you know,
Okay.
things of that nature, you know, because what I'm saying is I got a whole nation of people out here that I feel like that some of them are beginning to wake up, but most of them
Right.
go the other way because they don't know no other way to go,
Right, right.
you know.
Right. I mean, well, give me John 10 and 27. John 10 and 27. So you understand that we God's chosen people. So what is required of us?
What is required of us?
Right.
I feel that
Give me Deuteronomy 10.
I feel that it's our duty to wake up our people and try to get all our people pretty much on the same level. You know,
You right.
the thing about it is, you know, it's pretty bad because a lot of people look at the black on black crime and they'll say, well, you know, all these black people, they just out here monsters, but the police is killing us every day. They gunning us
Right,
down every
right.
day, and people ain't got much to say about that. You
Right,
know?
right. That's true, but did you know all of that was a curse put upon our people?
Uh-huh.
It was a curse put upon our people. Watch this, because first we got to know what's required of us, because you know you Israel, right?
Right.
Right, now watch this.
Verse 10 and 12.
Deuteronomy 10 verse 12. And now, Israel, what doth the Lord thy God require of thee?
So he's talking directly to you. He said, what do the Lord God require of you? Go ahead.
But to fear the Lord thy God,
Say, but to fear God,
to walk in all his ways, and to love him, and to serve the Lord thy God with all thy heart and with all thy soul, to keep the commandment,
to do what?
to keep the commandment
To keep the commandments. Go ahead.
of the Lord and his statutes, which I command thee this day.
So that is what is required of us as being God's chosen people, is first, we ain't going to do nothing until we keep the commandments. Because first it starts with us. Because do you know that God don't deal with sinners? Did you know that? Do you believe that? Let's prove it. Get John 9. So the reason why we going through all this stuff is because God ain't dealing with us. You know, we joined to our oppressors. We go out and vote when that's a sin to vote. We're not supposed to vote. We're not supposed to set another nation over us. We're not supposed to be voting for another nation to rule over us. That's a sin. Now we looking to them to save us. When we already got a so-called president. We already got a commander-in-chief. That is Christ. Christ is our commander-in-chief. What are we voting for? That we voting for a person that cannot save us. We voting for a person that ain't trying to save us. The only one that's gonna save us is Christ. Now watch this. Get John 9 and 31.
John 9 verse 31. Now we know that God heareth not sinners.
Hold on. What?
Now we know that God heareth not sinners.
So you mean no matter how much I pray, what?
Now we know that God heareth not sinners.
I don't care how much praying we do. If you in the midst of sin, the Bible says God ain't hear you. I don't care what your pastor say. Your pastor say God loves sinners and loves everyone. No, the Bible said he don't hear sinners. So the reason why we can't get from the bottom is because we still in the midst of sin. We still breaking the Sabbath. We still doing Christmas. We still doing the stuff that we learned from our slave masters, which is sin. Which is sin. So God ain't dealing with. First, God ain't dealing with us. Watch this. Read that. Now finish reading that.
But if any man be a worshiper of God,
But he said God don't hear sinners. But if any man be a worshiper of God
and doth his will,
and do his will,
him he heareth.
that's who he hears. So what's the will of God? This Psalms 40.
To do his will.
Let's see. What's his will?
Okay.
What's the will of God?
Faith.
That's a good question.
Okay.
Because we got to do it, we got to know it, right?
You're right.
Let's see what's the will of God. Psalms 40 and 8. Psalms 40 and 8. So we're going to answer everything with the book. You know what I mean? Psalms, let's see what the will. So he said God don't hear sinners. So that's why it seems like stuff don't never get better for us, because our people still in sin. As a nation, as individually and as a nation of people. God says he ain't dealing with us because y'all still serving other gods. Christmas is another God. Easter is another God. That's idolatry. So he not finna deal with you if you in the midst of idolatry. Matter of fact, the Bible says he not even hearing your prayers. That's why stuff ain't getting better. Watch this. Psalms 40 and 8. So what's the will of God?
Psalm 40 verse 8. I delight to do thy will, O my God.
So King David said, I delight to do your will, God. Let's see what it is.
Yea, thy law is within my heart.
Hold on. What is in his heart?
Thy law is within my heart.
God's laws is his will. God's laws is his will. So whatever God commands us to do, that's his will. If we break that, you in the midst of sin.